hello. Maybe they won't see us if we don't talk. What have you lost?
My mind.
You're not going to find it under the desk.
It's possible. Everything is under the desk.
All of the things, yeah. Hello, everybody. We should address the chat and say hi to them as well.
No.
Incoming.
Hi, everybody. Hi on YouTube and Twitch. This is my voice today. Sorry about that.
Hi. It's going to be such a great show.
I can't control it.
On.
Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it just cuts out. So it is what it is at this point.
What's going to happen?
I don't want to clear my throat the entire show either, so it's just
gonna... great. It makes for great editing. It really.
No. Oh, thank you, Queen Nova. Thank you for watching the videos. We have a really fun time putting them together. We hope you enjoy them.
I love the little astronaut on a planet. That's amazing.
Yeah, Ian and I are two of the writers on the CinemaSins team. So we write for CinemaSins, TV Sins, Commercial Sins. And then we also do our podcasting as a team over on this channel. And then intermittently we do gaming as well, just because like most of us on the staff really enjoy video games too. So sometimes Ian and I will play Polytopia or Mario Kart. We have ideas of even more games to play. Jeremy is thinking about playing a game again here soon. And right now Chris is really into The Last of Us. He's been streaming on Monday evenings. So you can check out our stream on Twitch for some of our VODs if you'd like. But thank you for watching our videos. We really appreciate it.
Oh, this is cool. You're watching Everything Wrong with Buzz Lightyear. And
I wrote on that one.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Have you got to the end yet, Queen Nova? Because the end is my favorite part. Let me know if you've gotten to the end yet.
I had the honor of watching that get put together.
It does sound like I'm going through puberty. or yeah, Babs has fully taken over. So some of you guys might not understand these references. Feel free to ask questions if you're terribly curious. But Babs was invited to a speed dating event yesterday, which I
don't know this. That's amazing.
Which I couldn't go to because I'm unwell, you know.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't sit down at the computer to play because I didn't have the energy or the voice or any of that. So I couldn't go. But how amazing would that have been to have Babs in a dating scenario?
It's incredible.
Like it would have been so funny. I'm so upset that I was unwell.
I think someone would have sat down and she went, next.
Are you like eating frogs? Are you like eating frogs? Just like I would be saying the most random shit. It would have been so funny. Anyway, that's not what this show is about. We're not talking about our fun role play games that we do or whatever. We're here to do Captain's Pod, and thank you guys for being here.
Carlosium. I've listened to all the Captain's Pod episodes retrospectively. Looking forward to my first live one, having just watched the episode. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Thanks for binging all. How many episodes have we done?
Look at the kitty meow at the picture.
Kitty meow meow.
Look at that little kitty meow. Is that your kitty meow, or is it just like a really beautiful internet cat?
We respect both answers. We love it.
I wish I could have cats. They're so cool. I'm sorry, boys. I love you too.
Even Reese's is looking directly at you. Say, what did you say?
I know they're so upset. I love this side table because I need it for like just having an extra place for putting stuff when I'm like in my super work mode. But I realize for streaming, it makes you guys not able to see my dog.
Danae, you have a table in front of you, an entire table behind you. Why do you need one on your starboard side as well?
Do you really want me to explain to you why I need tables?
I don't. That is their cat Tat.
Tat
what a
cat.
Beautiful cat.
Mew mew cat Tat.
Danae's dying. Danae's
so
dying.
Cute. What a great name for a cat. So great.
That's amazing. I love it.
You should do a CinemaSins on Cat and Hat. We fucking should. That cat is a nightmare.
Haven't we?
I don't know. Oh, There goes Ian. Just so you guys know, there's actually a way to search all of the videos that we've done, not only just by going to YouTube and then doing a search, but we have a whole entire spreadsheet that we have on our website where you can look through and see who wrote on what. That'd be great. Okay, Queen Nova, I'm going to say then that when you get to the end, there's a bonus round that I'm responsible for, and it is one of my greatest gifts to the Sins universe.
It's hilarious. It's
Who wrote on Magic Mike?
That is Aaron Dicer and Daniel Cardoso wrote on Magic Mike, I believe, in my immediate brain knowledge that springs to mind.
The narrators, Jeremy Scott and Chris Atkinson are the two founders of the channel. So their videos that they put together and that they edited and that they consistently posted every week for people to enjoy is the reason that Ian and I get to do what we do, because it eventually turned into them needing to have more people helping to write the stuff. So the team is Jeremy Scott, who is the narrator of the main channel, Chris Atkinson, who is the narrator of Commercial Sins, which we launched, I think, a little over a year ago. Aaron Dicer, Jonathan, who is the narrator of TV Sins, Jonathan Watkins, myself, Danae Hughes, Ian Whittington, and Daniel Cardoso. Those are our writers. And then we have another team that we work with for our live in-person events. We're going to be doing Sin Week, which is coming up the week of the 20th of March. So all of the fans that are on Patreon get additional extra videos that nobody will see if you're not a Patreon fan. Or Sin Club member, as we call it. And then there's also in-person events that people were able to buy tickets to, and that will be live in Nashville as well. So we're really excited about it. And we have a team that helps us put all that stuff together and our videos and just doing all the stuff that we do. So
it is a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. And you guys are welcome to ask questions. Here on this show, we're going to be recording an episode of Captain's Pod. So at the very beginning here, we talk to you guys because we're all obviously live together. It's exciting. We're seeing your chats and questions come in. But here in a moment, we're going to start the actual episode where we're going to be talking about Farpoint. And while we are recording the actual episode, Ian and I do not talk directly to chat because it becomes a editing nightmare for the actual podcast feed. So we will come back to you guys at the end of our podcast recording, go over some of the questions or comments that came in during the show. You'll see your comments pop up during the show. So it's not that we completely don't recognize them. It's just that we don't always stop and talk about them.
I can't guarantee that I won't get distracted and stop and talk about them. Or I have a really neat trick of stealing your points and making it sound like my own.
Oh my God.
You're like, hey, I made that point. And I incorporate it seamlessly into my sins. So you may even get to accidentally inspire part of the show.
Yes, that's true. Ian does steal your comments. He also likes to accuse me of doing that, and then do it himself.
Yeah,
he's a butt.
Yeah, I get to control the editing, so it makes it a lot easier.
When I was talking about Babs going speed dating and eating frogs, Josh said, I mean, frogs do have cloacas according to my CinemaSins merch. I am so glad you got that merch. We don't actually even have that in the store any longer.
That's amazing.
JCD wants to remind those that are watching on YouTube Live to click on live chat and not top chat, because sometimes you'll miss other people's comments if you're just watching the live chat.
Indeed.
Well, I think
we don't.
You did see that? Yeah, so many fucking buttons, right? Bing, bing, how many times can you push a freaking button? Anyway,
amazing. Beautiful.
Ooh,
right,
this would be a good one to add. This would be a good one to add.
Yeah, that's good. So that we could just stay in silence.
No.
Just read it. Just read everything.
No. Then it could at least link to people's Twitters or whatever.
That's a good idea. I can set that up. I'll add that to the list.
Okay, add it to the list. Right. There. Are we? The cat doing Dory sounds was hilarious. I really love that video. It's such a fun video.
Yeah, it's perfect for us to sin. It really is.
The sausage party video, I could have sworn they sent it in the past, so it was weird when Ian mentioned the same thing. Yes, this happens all the time where we're positive that we've sent something and we actually haven't.
I think half the viewers on that video are just trying to confirm whether they've already seen it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I watched this like 8 years ago when it first came out.
It's really, really funny too, because sometimes people that's like a top comment all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You guys
Yep.
already did this one.
Yep. 10 years
Yeah.
later.
Mm-hmm. Lots of videos.
Sure are.
Oh my gosh. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready to bury my FOMO, because my FOMO is pretty big at the minute, because Twitter is filled, or at least my version of Twitter is filled with people that were at the Picard season 3 premiere.
Oh
They
my
did a
gosh.
premiere at the Chinese theater in LA. There's like people in the crowd that I know from like either meeting them or interacting on Twitter, and I'm like, you guys are so lucky and so much fun. I am so excited for season 3 of Picard. Let's go.
We're not doing that. We're not.
Yes,
it's not time. We have to finish this episode.
Now,
no, we can't.
Okay. Let's wrap up Encounter at Farpoint first. Let's go.
Yeah, that's definitely what we should do. Are you ready?
Do the show. Ready. You ready,
okay.
chat? Okay, cool. Boom. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first, Ambassador. What would you like from the replicator? What would you like
jelly
converted
juice.
from energy into matter? You want jelly juice? You're going to juice one of these innocent space creatures as if they haven't been through enough. Just like squeeze it and juice it. I don't think you come off well from that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right, but also maybe it wouldn't be that big of a deal, for them to create it,
Only if it's like consensual. It's like, hey, excuse me.
It's that kind of juice?
Or other...
Great.
Well, no, I think...
Wonderful.
No.
You just turned my fine space juice into like sex juice.
So
and there's the cold open.
It's amazing how quickly they arrive.
Gross! No, I wasn't trying. I wasn't doing that.
Any kind of juicing requires consent. Not just the sexual kind.
We did see tentacle porn in a way.
We did see some tentacle porn, just like very soft core. And it's like really like kind of soft lighting as well. It was kind of fuzzy. Yeah, just it was beautiful.
You're my jelly.
My jelly for life.
No, I'll have a jelly-filled donut. I'll have a jelly-filled donut. That's what
you can eat their offspring. Nice. Interesting. God damn it. What would I like? I would like I don't think I can top that. I think I'm going to drink the warm bath that is great joy and gratitude.
You're gonna drink emotions?
Yeah. I'm gonna drink emotions because I'm a Betazoid. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? You could just drink Deanna Choi's tears because they were plentiful this episode.
There was so many. So she's like, that was on the top of her resume. I think it was. I can cry on command. It's like you're gonna do it in every single scene.
I can also repeat the same words over and over again with
joy,
and
gratitude.
Was brought to you to this day, a savior.
Thank you, everybody. Right, give us the synopsis for this episode.
Oh shit!
Ambassador. Yeah, this is on you. No notice.
Are you going to do this every time now, or is this just because I'm not prepared?
Until you get used to it, and then I'll stop.
Oh, thank you. Okay. In this episode, we see what was actually meant to be this episode.
Yes.
Which is a great mystery is solved as to how this weird planet Gromitzoid people were creating things that they weren't supposed to create through pain and anguish. And there's a mystery in the away team. Boy, did they go figure that out. There's also a jellyfish that comes out of space and wreaks havoc on the land, somehow helping to solve the mystery.
Yes. Q's here.
What's the history between Troy and Riker? They fucked. What's the history between Picard and Crusher? They want to fuck. And to top it all off, Wesley's a kid.
Yes. Hey, great. I don't need to do anything else. Perfect. It's great. Ambassador. immediate thoughts and feelings about the episode.
I'm just trying to think if I missed anything major.
I think Q, but
Q. Oh,
that's
yes.
it. That's
Yeah,
it. Tanked on
Q.
to the
Yeah.
end. Yeah.
This was great. I had a really fun time with
Yay!
this. I kept thinking as I watched this episode, reminding myself, this is the first one. This is the first one. This
really
is the first one.
This is what it should have been.
Not because they were fumbling over each other or they didn't know their part or their place, but I was trying to remember what an audience maybe would be feeling the first time that the holodeck opens up, or the away team has this place that they're going to that's being, blown up by an alien. They have a cool alien on the screen. They've got a potential space battle. They've got, a mysterious alien on their ship. They've got tension between people. There's all this. There's just so much that's happening in this episode. Like, there's a lot going on. And I feel like they were just throwing it all out there really intently. But it's interesting that they started it on a love story, and I didn't remember that. I didn't remember things like that Troy and Riker knew each other from before. I didn't realize that. But do you want to
hear the story of that?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So they dated for a while Riker was at the academy, and while I think he did like a work placement on Beta Z. And that's how they met while she was like training and doing her counseling and whatnot. And then they agreed to meet and go on a date on a different planet or somewhere. And he didn't show up. He stood her up.
How do you stand up, Deanna? Oh, now I'm so mad.
Because he had to accept a command on. It was.
And he couldn't send her a message.
It was his first commander posting. And he had to choose, I'm either going to take this ship straight away, or I'm going to
and not send a
go
note.
on a date with Deanna. I think he did send a note, but
okay, well
she good. Was no, but I think the note came too late or something. I remember there's some
drama
her,
there,
waiting for him, and he never turns up. And then they carried on writing to each other, but then kind of fiddled away, and it stopped. And yeah, the big thing is that he chose his career over her.
Well, I mean, of course he would,
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because why stay with one person when you can go on adventures to strange new worlds and fuck aliens all the time?
All of the aliens. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
That's it.
But they do have a connection. And Ian thankfully had told me about the Imzadi thing. So I actually understood that reference at the beginning because straight away they see each other and the music tells us this episode all but put on a filter of little hearts and
did.
prancing animals and stuff.
Yeah,
it really just shoves it down your throat that these two have a connection with the music alone. And she's just drawn into him, and he's just starstruck by her. And then she's in his head, and she's I think I wrote it down because I couldn't tell.
Remember what I taught you, Imzadi?
Yeah, and if you think
about it, I too could never forget.
Do you sense my thoughts? And I'm just this could be the best creepy girlfriend starter in TV history. You know what I mean?
Especially if Riker takes it the wrong way and is oh fuck, I thought I ditched her.
Just a slowly back away kind of a thing. Yeah. And she's like, do you remember how you felt about me? And it's just oh, this is really, this was awkward. It was awkward.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that. But yeah.
They just chuck out the Imzadi line really quickly.
Yeah.
Just
instantly.
Different language. This is a pet name, but I do like that. I think it's a good way to show their connection really quickly. And where they go is so sweet, so beautiful.
I know. But it's really interesting because you have that, and then you had the really interesting emotional exchange between Picard and Crusher at some point. There's just this sort of coming together on the ship.
I knew your father, Wesley.
I feel like we need to, if you have to watch this episode in 2 parts, you need to remember the seriousness of all that's going on too, because it's been a week since the last time. So I had to remind myself that they're in a really dangerous situation because they had to separate the saucer. They went to battle stations. There's this really crazy alien that is potentially going to kill them all. And then you have Crusher like, Mom, 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 Mom.
I want to see the bridge. I want to see the bridge.
I'm just like, I want to hurt
Isn't the
this
holodeck
kid.
great? Yeah, shut up, Wesley.
But then he like leaves the bridge and he's in the lift and the next alien shows up. She's like, man, this is a really dangerous place to have children.
It really is.
And we talk about it, so I don't want to talk about it too much because if you've listened to the show, then you know.
Put the ship that's firing on the planet between the ship and the planet.
Ooh, it's a lot.
Don't separate the saucer section now. Whatever you do, like you could have put the star drive between the ship and the alien ship and the planet, and sent the saucer section away. But no.
Let me ask you this question, because I know we're going to kind of go over what happened in this episode in more detail and stuff, but like at the end of this episode, what do you feel this show wanted to be the hook to keep you coming back for another? Because it didn't really leave you with a mystery. It did the episodic ending where, now we understand the mystery of the planet, that the Farpoint station was actually an alien being that had been captured and was being siphoned for its energy and its usefulness to create matter, and that its mate shows up to it disguised as a ship essentially to try to save it or whatever, punish the people who had captured it. So that mystery is solved. Q is kind of solved, kind of still lingering in the air. They've built in some interesting relation, but with the introduction of Data. So maybe, is it the curiosity of the people that brings somebody back? Is it like, what is it?
I think they didn't have to worry about a hook in the same way that Netflix cancels everything. Shows nowadays have to worry about a hook. So the hook here is a new crew with new special effects. Like they go hard on like the jellyfish. Like this is updated graphics, but even the original CGI for the jellyfish still looks beautiful. So I think this is a new crew, a new family to be exploring with. It was like what Star Trek fans wanted is people exploring the universe. Like they wanted more of Kirk and that crew exploring the galaxy. So I think this episode does so, and it does a better job of last week's episode, but it does so much to introduce the characters and the dynamics. And yeah, the hook has got to be Riker and Deanna, what that relationship is like. Picard and Beverly and Wesley, what that relationship is like. Data exploring, like having a robot on the ship and what that's like. The complexity of Geordi. Q promising to return at some point as well. Like there are lots of little hooks, and it's probably more hooks than the networks were happy for them to have, because that's setting up a lot of subplots that don't get as fulfilled as I think you might expect by today's standards. It's a much more slow burn. But for me, I would have been all in, because so much of it is just the visuals and being in this universe. I think it's like Picard says at the very, very end, let's see what's out there. I think that's the hook, is let's see some more of this galaxy with an 80s budget as opposed to a 60s budget.
And it does look very cool. I mean, by the standards that it came out, where
even by today, I think some of it really holds up. Yeah.
Yeah, because, you've got, like I said, you've got like the planets, you're seeing them build sets and destroy sets, and you're seeing what their CGI is capable of, to show interesting things on the viewer screen. And yeah, you've got like a new dynamic and a new group, and they're trying to kind of throw out some mystery and intrigue. And they've got like a young person, with Wesley showing his chops. So that's that young viewer that's like, yeah, I know what all those things are, because I'm in on this too. And so
that's really interesting, because that's exactly how I saw Wesley. So older fans at the time did not like Wesley. They thought he was annoying. But when I was a kid watching this for the first time, I was just like, man, I'm so jealous. I want to be Wesley. I want to be a kid exploring that bridge, getting the opportunity to do what Wesley is doing. So Wesley is, in hindsight, a really, really clever addition to the crew to get kids involved.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, from a marketing perspective, but also just an understanding that there's all kinds of audiences that are going to sit around and watch this on network TV. And it's important to remember that. And I think like I liked Wesley. I liked what he did.
Yeah.
As a mom now, I found his incessant asking to go to the bridge frustrating because I deal with that every day.
On my terms. Let's
Mhm.
go now. Why aren't we doing this now?
But it's
Bend the
still kind
laws
of
of physics
cool.
for me, mother.
Yes, yes, and she does. And then he's all of a sudden on the bridge. Honestly, that moment, we'll just, are we jumping around today? Are we going to talk
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, okay.
Well, as long as we're keeping sins separate.
Okay. That moment was really interesting because it was like a first person perspective from a kid's perspective of walking onto the bridge. It'd be like if you put on a VR headset and then like entered into a CGI version of the bridge and you're kind of,
The POV shot is very interesting and unique to this episode.
and then he sits down and he knows all the different, things. And then an actual alert comes in and without even thinking about it, he interacts with with the computer.
I would do that.
And Picard's just like, whoa, get the
Get
fuck
off
off my bridge.
Yeah.
And, it's weird because before that scene was when Wesley was like, man, Picard's kind of a stick in the mud, huh,
kind of
Ma?
a pain in the ass, isn't he?
And I'm like, not really. He's just a captain. He's just someone in authority that doesn't have a lot of personality to like show. He's trying to stop an alien from murdering everyone. He's got a lot on his mind. He's a very busy man. So it's strange because when the shows give lines like that to one of the characters, that's what the show wants us to believe about Picard, the character.
Yeah.
More than I feel like it was Wesley actually having been, I don't know, justified in how he was perceiving the captain, because he walks off of the holodeck and, has wet the carpet. We'll get to that in a second. And he's like, I guess I should clean this up, huh, boss? And Picard says, yeah. Like, that's not him being a jerk. It's just him like, what the hell, guys?
Don't get wet on my boots, you little shit. Look what you did, you little jerk.
But if Wesley had said to his mother, man, Picard's kind of an asshole, after he yelled at him and told him he got the bridge, I would have totally been on board with that. Like,
yeah, that makes more sense.
It just felt a little weird.
It? Yeah.
Well,
And speaking of scenes that are out of order, I had a scene that isn't in your episode because you had it in last week's episode.
Yes.
It's so interesting how you can move these things about, because the conversation that Beverly has with Geordi about his visor and the headaches and all of that happened this week for me, whereas it happened last week for the US version of the episode. So it's interesting how and I mention it because they had so much to do in this episode about who these people are and how they interact with stuff, that some of the scenes do feel just inserted at random points. They don't have much to do with the flow of the show so much. So I always felt this as an hour and a half episode feels a little bit disjointed. This second part I like so much more as a whole introduction to the Next Generation.
How do you feel about Pop Goes the Weasel being the first introduction of Riker and Data?
I am absolutely fine with it. And I love it. Mainly because now it's so hard because I don't know when we're going to do this stuff on the actual show. But it is one of the few times I've cried in the cinema.
I'm sorry. Wait.
Because
did you see this episode in the cinema?
What? No.
Oh, it was in a movie?
There is a TNG movie that refers back to Pop Goes the Weasel where I teared up.
Oh, your nerd is showing. It's so
cute. It's so obviously we know that Data dies in Nemesis, the last TNG film, because Picard is all about finding him and bringing him back and whatnot. And they're talking about the first time that they met Data, and Riker can't remember the tune. He's talking about meeting him on the holodeck, and he can't remember the tune that he found Data whistling. And he gets really upset about it. He's like, I wish I could remember what the tune was. And I'm like, it's Popkins. And it's just, man, that killed me. Because I didn't know Dana was going to die. I was in pieces after that movie. In pieces. This
Oh
is like,
no.
I think this is the 12-year-old Ian that's watching this with his dad. Like, broken. Absolutely broken. So the answer to that is I fucking love that because of how it ends.
I like that scene because, you know, they're discovering each other in this really unexpected place. Of all of the places to meet Data, it would be, you know, out in the wood of the holodeck where he's whistling in a tree, trying to be the most human version of himself that he can be, and he can't quite whistle. And then someone comes up and just like easily whistles, and he's like, "That's fascinating."
You fucking dick is what I would say. Don't you rub it in?
Yeah, I don't know why they chose that one. Maybe it was because that's a tune that they both knew and they could whistle. I don't know. I'm curious if there was a purpose in it.
I think it's easily recognizable, and it's like a child's. It's something you hum to a child, isn't it? And Data is very much a child at this point.
Yeah,
but it could have been any tune, couldn't it? But that's one that everyone's gonna recognize.
Yeah, I liked that part. I think there's some questions I have that are sinful about that holodeck scene, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
I love it. Oh, I have plenty for that as well. So this is what I couldn't help but think during this episode as you're watching it, was that last week you were a little bit confused by part 1 as the pilot because you were expecting more of a typical Star Trek mystery adventure that helps us get to know the crew. And that's exactly what this is. So what did you think of the mystery at the heart of this episode as an introduction and just as an episode in general?
I liked it a lot. It might be one of my favorites just because it's so beautiful, and also it was complex in a way because the idea is that there's this creature that uses energy and can create matter like a transporter or like a
like a holodeck
replicator,
transporter and replicator. Yeah, they all use a similar technology.
So these are really powerful, you know, entities that can kind of almost Q-like in a way. You know, they can kind of do whatever.
Snap their fingers and make stuff appear.
Yeah. And it felt like, you know, last time I was like, well, who is this magical being that this asshole Grog Bong Bong, whatever his name is talking to?
That took me a second. I was like, what? It's Q. His name is Q. Oh, you mean
Grummel. He turns around to the air and he's like, you shut up or whatever. Like, oh, you're fine. Quit it. And he's talking to the air around him. And I kept thinking like, well, what is this unseen entity that's being used for its power? And I was right. Like, that is exactly what's happening. But I felt like they found a clever way to describe it within the scientific terms of Star Trek. Like, they made it make sense to the nerd, the deep lover of all of the ways that Star Trek like makes sense. They're kind of bringing it up to a level. So it was a mystery inside of a mystery in a way. And it was an interesting reveal as well, you know, to kind of see the creature rise up like a popped blackhead pimple off of the surface skin.
It was beautiful.
It just kind of like you know. Well, I mean, sometimes extractions can be beautiful. You know, you got to get that stuff out of your pores.
Amazing.
But yeah, I really liked it. I felt like it was a really interesting one. Like, they had to go on an away mission, and then there was the mystery of the underground of the city was the same interior of the ship, which means that they were inside of a being the whole time.
Inside of a being that very handily has corridors.
Very handily.
I have a theory about that which is why I wouldn't sin it, because I always assumed that the jellies were actually bred to be organic spaceships by another species. So that's why they were deliberately genetically engineered to have the internal makeup of a ship so that people could use them, and then these two liberated themselves. And
wouldn't that be fun?
That's my headcanon.
That seems to be a really great beginning episode of Lower Decks, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like just these space jellies. But yeah, I think it was cool. It was unexpected in a way, and it also seemed to make sense in a way.
Mm.
And we got to see everybody's abilities in a unique way. It's like the writers really were intentional on showing us what each crew member's capabilities were. Not only did we got to see Data's super strength and his computing abilities, we got to see Geordi use his scanning to kind of look around. We're seeing Riker's leadership and hot body, which is really important. Because that lady that was showing her on the ship,
lady,
yeah, she gave a hard, long look to the bum there.
We know how that jumpsuit is framing him.
And really front and center on this one was Dana Troy, and kind of pushing that to the forefront of, I think, this episode really showcasing like that she can sense things in a really unique way based on emotion. Yeah, we got to see Beverly, you know, in the background assembling the medical team, and I love that. Also in a powerful position, even just in how she talks about Picard, that she's almost like on that, she's not afraid of him. She's obviously someone who's going to be able to talk direct. I think really the only people that we didn't really get to see predominant in this one, in this part, I should say, because it's like a two-parter, would be Worf, but it's pretty clear that he wasn't expected to maybe be one of the forerunners at this point. And so
he wasn't.
Tasha last episode was very dominant.
Yeah, very forceful.
But we don't see the what's his name that was, we talked about him last time. He was like, didn't go into the future with Q. O'Brien?
Oh, Miles O'Brien.
Yeah,
yes.
We didn't see O'Brien at all in this
Again,
one.
O'Brien was like,
he's just not there.
The same with them. O'Brien and Worf are both extras at this point. And O'Brien gets a little bit more to do later on in the seasons, but he still doesn't get to the forefront like Worf does until Deep Space Nine. But I love the ancillary characters that they pull through. So they do this a lot better than TOS did, where like you'll recognize the backup helms person. You'll recognize somebody that's in the transporter bay, like, and the medical bay. There's Dr. Salazar and Nurse Agawa, and they're just like, instead of new extras every week, it's the same consistent crew. So yeah, it's a comfy, warm blanket.
It's a delightful episode.
It is. It's a great drip feed mystery. It really is.
Yeah.
Like it's the way I like mysteries done, because it's very tricky to guess exactly what the ending is. But when you watch it again, all of the clues are there that help you get there. That's a tricky thing to do. And I think it's done extremely well.
I think the only thing that feels off about it is how two-part it feels. It doesn't really seem like, and Q kind of appears at the beginning and the end to sort of judge humanity or whatever. And maybe they just could have done a little bit of a better job of bringing a little bit of episode 2 into episode 1 and a little bit of episode 1 into episode 2. But honestly, I would much rather wash my mind of the Q part because this does what I love about in my TNG, which is kind of do the little space adventure. So
I think it's fascinating that Q is, like you said, is supposed to be the hook for this, but lets down this part as an overall episode. It is, I completely agree, the weakest part. It doesn't just kill the momentum, it stops the momentum from even starting. Like it would have been better to, I think, start this mystery and they get interrupted in the middle by Q, but even that would feel strange. So it's just an irritating part of like studio meddling that ended up in something fantastic with Q as a character, but spoiled this opening tight episode.
Like, I wonder how it would have been, and I don't feel like maybe they would do this, maybe they wouldn't, but it would be interesting if this episode would have happened without Q. And then later, Q would have appeared and taken them back in time because they made a mistake to see if they do it again.
Oh my goodness, there's
Like-
no way.
Like, what if they had killed the mate? Or, what if they had done something that was
no.
savage that set this whole entire
Yeah.
TNG series off, in this crazy way? But I mean, for a first episode, for introducing everything, I think that this two-parter is really good.
Yeah.
Could they have done it without the Q stuff? Yes. Do I understand why Q is there? Not really. I think that maybe, like I said last time, that the writers really wanted to show that this group was going to be more mindful about their interactions with aliens. Maybe in TOS, it was sort of like a shoot first, ask questions later vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know because I didn't watch it. But it feels
I mean,
like
they were
they're
very quick on the
trying to
phases.
separate
Yeah.
and say, we're going to treat alien species as important, viable parts of life. And until we know more, we're not going to do anything. And Q in that moment, so they're on the bridge, it's kind of towards the end when it's an alien vessel that's shooting down on the planet and they're not sure kind of if it's there and to hurt them or what, because there's no communication between Space Jelly and Enterprise. And so I guess I should say the donut ship. We'll say that the raspberry-filled glazed donut.
They are known in universe, in canon, as space jellies. They genuinely
really?
are. Yeah.
Well, like a jelly donut. So the jelly donut ship
Like a jellyfish.
is well at the time though it looked more donut-like, before it revealed its tentacles to them.
Okay.
Before it was like, this is my naked body. You like it?
I'll allow it. Yeah, you like my tentacles? You want to
It
rub
just
them?
dangled its bits in front of it like it. This is
Everyone on
me.
the bridge just averts their gaze.
Oh, wow.
Oh my.
Oh, this is a very personal. Oh, they're touching. They're touching. Is someone recording this for no, don't.
We need to brief Riker on this later. Someone edit this shit together.
Anyhow, so Q is there and he's really pushing for aggression. And that to me really bothered me because, Q as a character, I maybe he's intended to bring up some really good points about the sins of humanity and our savagery, and that even by getting our phasers ready, that's a sign of aggression, and that there's cons for that. Picard would point out that this is protocol, and he's kind of pressing back. This is still savagery in a form. At least that's my interpretation of what he was trying to do.
Because a pacifist wouldn't even do that. Like, the ships wouldn't even have phasers. It wouldn't even be a self-defense option. It would be, we're talking about this or I die.
Yeah. And so I think Q is attempting at or succeeding at some good points, right? But then he subverts himself so quickly when he's in there antagonizing them to make the decisions that prove his own point. Thereby, he's not only he's a child. He's do what I want. If you don't do what I want, this game isn't fun anymore. And to me, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the character or why he's even there in the first place. If they're meant to prove their humanity, then in any scenario, Q could try to antagonize them to do what he wants to prove them otherwise. But it just, characters that you're never going to really gain any foothold with are really hard to enjoy because
Totally agree.
They're in my real life. Like I know Qs in my life and I just don't want them in my entertainment. I don't I can't do anything to prove anything to you. And so I can choose to not talk to you. And TNG is like, let me introduce a character that will just appear in your universe without your permission and linger as long as they want. And they're basically gods. And I'm like, what a fucking nightmare that would be.
What a dick. He is the definition of chaotic evil.
He is.
But with superpowers. It's like, it is insane. And it makes more sense as Picard and the crew figure out that he is the exception and not the rule. Most of the Q are pretty apathetic and don't get involved because it's beneath them. Q is a bored individual that has been around for thousands, if not millions of years, and is just trying to entertain himself.
You know what?
But it is
Can
tricky
I
to
tell
get
you something?
behind.
Let me just, I'm going to go on this thought
Okay, go for it. Buckle
thing
in,
with
people.
you. Is Q CinemaSins? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
we write as a character that can't enjoy themselves and just likes to create, like, point stuff out and kind of be like, I don't know, just sort of sit in their intellectual power. We're not those actual people. We write scripts as if we're this guy that just can't really sit down and enjoy something very easily, you know? And they're just sort of a sourpuss. Is that Q? We're like interjecting ourselves into movies and TV and, you know, just like stopping it from happening.
Because
and go,
we're this ominous, like omniscient, omniscient narrator that knows all of it. But
yeah.
at the same time, we're very aware that movies and TV shows need this to happen. Like there are certain cliches and things that they need in order to work. So I don't think our motivation is to entertain people, hopefully, and also maybe occasionally point out that there might be another way of doing this where you don't have to lean on the same old stuff. I don't think we're there to deliberately fuck with people for our own amusement. I think the motivation is different, but you are right when it comes to humanity. Q's probably the really evil version of CinemaSins that is just there to point it out, make fun, and just like, look, I'm better than you and I know best, you should listen to me. It's the more arrogant version of us, but I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's almost like we're kindred
I don't think
somehow.
we're that mean-spirited.
Because Q is just like he's a character that I hope I don't see very much. But then at the same time, we've now watched Picard.
Yeah.
And there's this moment, you know, where I feel like we're supposed to be attempting to relate to this godlike creature who has spent his energy, his precious power, fucking with people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really feel like we're doing that. I don't feel, you're right. We're entertaining people. We're not fucking with people. And there is a difference.
The motivation is very, very, very different to me. But I get what you mean.
He's a dick.
He's probably the impression that we're trying to do. Like, he's the troll that we're trying to impersonate.
Yes.
That dude in his bunker that is just...
Yeah.
This is his entire life. Is pulling
his entire life.
Apart.
Yeah. He's the basement dweller. And I don't know that this episode did him any favors. It is interesting what the writers maybe were trying to say, even with his progression of his like costuming, you know, starting off where he's kind of showing the progression of essentially military.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like the beginning of the captains of the sea and then going into the military. I think it was it World War II or something that he was wearing, and then into the wars of the future where, you know, the soldier wars that were all drugged up. And then all of a sudden he's a soldier in Starfleet. And so there is something that they're trying to say. And I feel like Q is they're writing it in such a way where they're wanting to prove their own point. But then to have that character, you know, completely attempt to get into his own experiment and mess it up.
Yeah.
It just means that it was never really meaningful to start with. And so it makes it difficult for me to find out, like, to figure out why I was interested in watching it at all. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get it. I totally get it. And I would struggle to sin that because I think that's Q. I think that he gets bored with his game, so he changes the parameters. And he does this so much. Like, it's almost like he wants to extend the game a bit longer, so he changes the rules and moves the goalposts. And it's so frustrating, but it does always make you wonder, why does the crew bother? Like, why? And I think that's where Picard lands, is he's just going to progress as normal. He's just going to do this mission, and if it ends up getting, like, don't second guess it.
Like, for us as the writers, if we wanted to send something and say, like, the movie has an apple, you know, or the movie does something and we're going to send it, and we send it. And then all of a sudden the movie doesn't have an apple. And so we're like, okay, well then we'll send this instead. That's kind of the vibe that Q has. It's like,
yeah,
but for us, we are almost sending ourselves as we go. And for Q, he's like really taking a long time talking about his own hubris and his own.
Yeah.
He's somebody that I just don't like listening to. So maybe he'll get more fun. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to seeing him again, though. That's for sure.
That's very interesting. I think the next episode that he appears will infuriate you. And I kind of want to watch it to see your reaction.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
I think it will. What he does will piss you off.
Great. Listen, audience listening at home, please do not write into the show to request this episode. Thank you in advance.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting.
Let's go to something important. How did you feel about Wesley's knit sweater?
Oh, it's iconic. All of his knit sweaters are iconic. All of them. Like, he has so many throughout this first season. They are all of them iconic. I want a wardrobe of Wesley sweaters.
It's sweaters? Like one of those that I want to take a screenshot of and then send to my knitting mother.
Yeah. Oh,
she crochets though.
She would make the fuck out of them. I'm sure she could do it.
Like just the ribs alone, just these massive ribs. Yeah.
I love it so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in for that.
What else have we got? I've got there's just a couple of interesting things. Like, this is the first mention of the Ferengi, and the Ferengi were going to be one of the big bads of season 1, but they ended up being just a little bit too trolly in the like under the bridge troll kind of thing. But yeah, they're meant to be this terrifying species that gets mentioned in passing and then eventually shows up in season 1. But yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, Picard. Like so in this situation, what's his name? Gromdok Belongibonk. He's talking to Picard about like their negotiations for using their ability to power the station for, I guess, for protection or something. I'm not sure, but there's some sort of a thing there. And so Picard, and Gromby says something along the lines of like, "Oh, we'll just go trade with the Ferengi." And Picard says, "Let's see how they find you. Let's see if they find you as tasty as past associates."
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh shit, do they eat people?"
No,
because oh, okay.
He's being a troll. He's being such a dick. He's being a little bit specious.
Oh. So, because when you said that was supposed to be like a big bad, I wondered if maybe they do eat people.
Perhaps. Yeah, okay. Perhaps. Especially with like Riker's shit-eating smiley grin as they're leaving the room, I kind of saw it a little bit as a
like a fuck off kind of thing.
Yeah, just kind of going over the top a little bit. But I wouldn't. It would have been a great payoff if you see them chowing down on an away team at some point. But yeah, that's not what happens when we first meet them. They kind of get made to look a bit stupid in that first meeting.
That was an interesting moment for sure. And you know what I thought was going to happen when the ship, the Jelly Donut ship shows up? I thought that the Grommy Lommy Ding Dong had thought about the Ferengi, and because he thought it became true. Because everything that was happening on Farpoint Station was becoming true.
Interesting, right.
So I thought he kind of like made it happen. Yeah.
That was really clever.
So I thought that was maybe a Ferengi ship, but it didn't turn out that way. But I kind of think that would be an interesting way to turn it.
I mean, there is an episode where that kind of happens, and they have to be really fucking careful about what they think about, because they move into a part of space that translates their imagination into matter. So yeah, it's not beyond the realms of Star Trek by any means.
Well, that's interesting. I'm interested to see that one. What else about this episode did you want to talk about? Is there anything like that I'm missing, a major beat that I'm missing that I just wouldn't know to pay attention to, that kind of either comes up again later, or something that a character does or says that doesn't really pan out very well?
I don't think there is. There is a lot of, you can tell they haven't decided what's happening with Beverly and Picard at the minute, because the way Beverly introduces Wesley is like, "This is my son Wesley. The last time you saw him was when you brought his dad's dead body to him."
Mm-hmm.
And
My last episode.
uh,
I first met Picard when he brought my dad's
Dad.
body.
And he's obviously grown so that Picard doesn't recognize him anymore. So it's just, I don't know how many years Beverly and Picard have been out of touch. And
It seems a while.
it seems like it's a while.
A very
I would
long
guess
while.
like 10 years at least, maybe more, because
Mm-hmm.
Wesley is 16/17 at this point. So I would imagine it's got to be like 10 years or something like that. But yeah, I don't think that actually gets specified. The Deanna and Riker thing doesn't get picked up very much at all until much later on. You think that's going to be much more of like a solid theme based on this first encounter. But everything else is pretty consistent. Like Geordie's visor obviously gets used as a plot device a lot. Data's pursuit of being human continues on. Q obviously shows up again.
I liked how this episode used like the beaming around as well.
I was going to mention this. Yes,
there was
absolutely.
one moment when this team kind of splits up, and Troy, I think Tasha and Geordie go below the city, which means that they have entered into a being of some kind. And Troy is like sensing the pain and the sadness and all that. And so Riker beams down quickly to figure out what's going on. I thought that was just very cleverly done. We don't usually see them just hopping levels.
It kind of shows that there's like a development of the technology, because on TOS, there's an episode where the solution to a problem is to beam somebody from the bridge to engineering. And they're just like, this is really risky. Like short range transportation isn't what this is meant to do. This is meant to be ship to planet, planet to ship, ship to ship. Doing it inside the ship, you could be in a bulkhead because we can't. You need a wide open space. We can't narrow it down that much. And Kirk is just like, damn it, I'll take the risk. And then does it. So this is it's a great evolution that you can just hop around. Transporter beams have changed. Like, it's a great emergency way. Get me near Deanna, quick. No,
and it worked.
Great observation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
I did too.
There was something interesting that I noticed that kind of gets ditched pretty quickly, is how casual the computer voice is. I can tell that they try to make it seem more human and like approachable. It's like, would you like to enter, Commander Riker?
Yeah, it was very conversational.
Yeah, and that gets ditched.
That's ditched quickly. So fast. Yeah, in this episode, it was like there was like little dots that showed Riker the way to go, and then when he got to the corridor, it's like turn right here. It was like Google Navigator.
It was.
But can you imagine if there's 50 people walking in a corridor trying to get around?
Right. Ding, 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 everywhere. And you never see it again. Like the Find My Phone feature on the Enterprise, like it's just completely ditched after this episode.
Perhaps it's just for their first trek around the ship, just sort of as like a little, you know how when you play bowling and you put the bumpers on and then after that it's just you can go in the gutter if you need to. It's like that, but for the first your first walk around the ship, just making sure that you at least know how to get around. But that was interesting. I wrote that down, and there was some other like lingo and that came up in episode 1 and this one as well that just doesn't seem to be sticking as much, which is normal. But funny. I didn't mind it too much. Yeah.
Really funny. Well, that's all of my thoughts. I had a feeling you would like this episode a lot more. I think I predicted that last week because it is a more standard Star Trek episode. I love it. So, anything else, Ambassador, before we move on to some sinnings?
Let's see. A quick peek at the notes.
Biggie.
I guess the only other thing that I think was really interesting that we didn't mention so far was part of the puzzle solving, part of the mystery solving, part of the, nice bow love story for the jellyfish at the end is that the Enterprise was able to use the beaming technology to give medical aid to the creature. And though I did not understand any of that, to be honest with you, I thought it was an interesting idea.
Yeah,
'Cause
so they convert the phaser beam into an energy beam. And really, they should have used the deflector dish for that because that does the particle
will this
beam
transition us into the
stuff.
sins then,
Yeah,
Captain?
that's pretty good. I think that's a great idea. Okay, with that, it's time to head to engineering for Resistance futile battle stations, everyone. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains and remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Yes, so they use the phaser beam to give the creature energy, and I don't. Who am I to say that that's technically wrong? I know the phasers have been used to do that. You can set it to like a microwave setting where it just slowly heats things up, but I'm more used to seeing power transfer beams coming from the deflector dish, although in Timescape they don't. They have a different array altogether for energy transfer, but it's also not the one that's used in this. But I think we're in episode 1, and it's just we're not quite settled into all of the engineering canon yet. I think some things change around a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I just want to send Gromlet Grommelstone all day long, you know?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Do it.
I don't really know why. I just want to. Like, what a dick. I just want to be like this dick. This guy knew what he was doing. I still don't quite understand. And maybe this is the problem with this episode. Yeah, like he clearly is doing some really shady shit. But I guess because they're hopping back and forth and doing 2 different stories or something like this, I wonder if I'm missing some context. Like, is this a first contact situation? Is this where he's supposed to join?
Strange.
Is he supposed to be joining like the whole
the
like Federation group, or is he like what is happening here that's at stake? Because it seems like Picard and Riker are negotiating some sort of pact between them, but then also just super casually also willing to walk away until some questions are answered. And Grommelbutts Zorn is really confusing, and like he's not giving information. And then there's other people that are there that are also like, again, looking like those creatures that are just getting sucked dry. And it just seems like there was so much more there that I didn't understand. I just want to send Groppler Zorn.
Oh, Grobblebutt Zorn, yeah. I agree. There's like some Prime Directive shenanigans in here, and Deanna mentions the Prime Directive, like because like ordinarily, if they're under attack, they wouldn't be able to intervene because they aren't part of the Federation, or they aren't part of the Federation. But they're like, well, we are in open trade negotiations, so maybe that means we can intervene. But it's not clear whether this is a warp-capable species. It doesn't seem like it, and that's meant to be like the key thing of the Prime Directive is that you don't intervene until they're capable of traveling in space and faster than light, because that's when they're going to start bumping into people. So it is interesting how they must have communications of some sort, because he threatens being able to reach the Ferengi. So they must have advanced communications capabilities. So I guess they are more advanced than they appear. But it seems like the Federation is most interested in using their technology on other planets and such, and use this as like some kind of launching point. But yeah, it's very, we need to get to the plot convenient. They have to be advanced, but not advanced enough to make the space station no big deal. Because the big mystery is, how did these people manage to build a space station so perfectly and so quickly? Not a space station,
right. But yeah,
Farpoint
station, a station that they want to use. And how is Grumblebutt so confident about their ability to do it again and again?
They're not. He isn't.
Okay.
He's trying to duck that, because they're saying, can we replicate it on different planets? And he's like, no, the Bandy don't want to leave.
Come here. Oh,
they
okay,
have to come here.
Gotcha.
So all they want, he wants a big paycheck from the Federation to use Farpoint as a deep space launching point for them.
Okay. Yeah, I would just find some ways to send the confusion of even the plot point, and maybe this is part of, like I said, just a little too stretched out.
Just this one asshole that's dealing with them as well. I was like, do you not have a team of diplomats here or something? And yeah, I would not be dealing with this shady individual at all. Not even
It's
close.
so shady. It's so sketchy.
Yeah, super sketchy. One of my big sins.
Oh, I just remembered one of the terms that was different in this episode.
mhm.
When Tasha was like using the comm badge to, it's usually like Tasha to Riker, but she said team leader.
Yeah,
which
team
I
leader.
thought was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they again
So
something
that
that
doesn't
they
happen again.
no something that disappears very quickly. It's maybe a little bit nitpicky, but it will transport us into the holodeck section of the episode. And Riker says that I looked up your service record to Data, and Data's like very, very prudent. And then Riker's immediately like, "So you're an honorary lieutenant?" And Data then reads his service record, and I'm like, "Then what the fuck did Riker read? Like, he couldn't have looked up his service record and also not know that he earned the rank of lieutenant. Like, what's in there if it's not his service history?" And
it's a perfect example of the exposition for us. Yeah,
you got to exposit it, but you don't have to make people look dumb. Like, you could have had a little, I don't know, but it was frustrating because like, why make Riker dumb?
Yeah, why make Riker dumb?
Mm-hmm. So, what did you want to say about the holodeck situation?
So much.
Do it.
Okay, and this might be something that we talk about and have talked about, and I've forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
How is water leaving the holodeck?
Yeah, it's my number one sin. It's so.
Just
shouldn't the holographic water just disappear? Now,
I mean, it's not real.
There is an argument to be made.
Oh, here we go.
People in the holodeck are fake because that's too complex and they disappear. But then again, Picard throws a fucking book out of the holodeck during,
and there's a page that they brought out.
But
so things can be brought out.
The argument that I've heard is that the holodeck replicates real water because that's easier than replicating holographic water. So just like you can replicate a glass of because in video games, water physics are very, very hard to do. So it might be easier just to create 1 million glasses of water, and that's what you do. The problem with that is the forced perspective thing, because the holodeck isn't all there all at once, all at the same time. That can't
make any sense. It's not like you can just add water and then just have it be in specific sections. That was a creep.
It would have to. Yeah, that would have to.
There's no way.
It would have to. As soon as you get
it has to be fake.
It moves from holographic water to real
so now the holodeck can move matter.
Yeah.
And what happens to this real water whenever they turn the corner and then they come back? They just bring it. How does it disappear? How?
It's hard. It's more
lasers that make it evaporate.
Lasers. Yeah. It just gets
flush it.
Yeah, it just gets replicated away. So it's tricky. In theory, the water should just disappear, but the 80s would not allow that to happen.
I don't know about that. I don't understand that.
It's some bullshit. It is some bullshit.
I would definitely attempt to sin it, although obviously it's complicated and there's been many, many conversations about it. Maybe we could find a fun way to sin it or something like that.
Yeah. Either way,
that was very frustrating. That was very frustrating for me because I was like, I don't understand any of this. Why does this keep happening? I mean, it is fun to watch, but
yeah. As soon as you put in rules for the holodeck, you then destroy them. Will you just stop it?
So does that then mean that when Data picks up a stone to chuck against the back wall, that the stone then becomes actual matter to chuck against the wall?
Yeah, because it's really convenient that the holodeck knows exactly what Data is intending. Because in theory, it should throw that stone into the far distance to not break the illusion. But somehow it knows that Data is making a point.
This is my question. I don't understand.
It's tied into the holodeck is always tied into the plot. Always.
Ding.
What I had for this moment was we're just going to let people walk into anyone's programs then. Riker walks in unannounced, Wesley walks in unannounced, or is already in there. There should be privacy filters all over the holodeck.
Unless it's just like an open kind of session. Maybe sometimes it's
maybe
just,
it is.
Hey, I'm going to go take a stroll in Alice in Wonderland. So, and I'll just leave it open just in case one of you guys comes in and realizes that I'm about to be murdered by a queen. See you guys on the flip side of this adventure. Like maybe it's just like an open adventure sort of a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It's so tricky. Holodecks are a wonder to think about.
The other, like, last one I had for the holodeck was Wesley falling in the water being a panic. I'm like, you're on the holodeck, just turn it off.
Maybe he doesn't know how to swim,
Yeah, but just turn it off.
But he doesn't know
turn
how,
it
but
off.
it's not real water. I guess maybe it is real water.
It is real. I mean, just turn off the holodeck. It's fine. But the point of that is to see Data sprint and be strong and stuff, and he can show off. But
like an elf. He was fucking Legolas
like
in that moment, wasn't he? He was like, bing, 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 bing.
I'm here. As soon as like Data runs away, Riker should have been like, "Oh, end program." And as soon as he gets there, everything's fine. Wesley's okay.
Yeah.
He's just on his butt.
Or he just has like a little safety bubble around himself, because if the holodeck is programmed to have safety measures, then even if he falls in water, he would still somehow have protection around him. Just like if he fell off of a cliff, he wouldn't actually be falling off of a cliff.
Of course not. Yeah. Why is this a big deal?
So many questions.
It's not. Right, moving along, Ambassador.
Oh, one of my sins here is the very awkward exchange between Picard, Troy, and Riker right off the bat.
Oh my goodness.
Where Picard says, it's so important for key officers to know each other's abilities. And everyone watching this is like,
Woo, yeah.
Me. And then Troy is like, we do, sir. We do.
Yeah, we do.
And they're just like making love to each other, even though they're not looking at each other.
Puzzle pieces fit together well.
Picard is in the back of the lift, just staring forward as if he has no idea that these two people are essentially invisifucking right in front of him. And I just don't believe for a second that Picard wouldn't have picked that up.
Fucking right now. He has to be oblivious in that moment to everything. And my sin for that moment is that they're just not hiding it well. Like, be professional, people. Come on.
I mean, I know you're acting for us, but it would be really interesting if like Picard turns the corner and they just are instantly like, oh my God, hi, you know, and then we're like, oh, what's going on? Instead, like the music is just shoving it down our throats, and they're like, oh, we do know each other. Oh, we do. And they're just like, oh my God,
like it's a
cute
total
porn
surprise.
music.
like Riker didn't know that Deanna was going to be there. Like, that's what it, like, he's shocked that, oh, I didn't realize there was only one counselor, Deanna Troi. Whoops.
We could also shift over another thing that I don't think that should be a surprise that they're there is Picard visiting Crusher and surprised that she asked to be put on the ship. He should know that. He's the fucking captain.
Oh, interesting.
Why was that a surprise?
I had that scene last week, not this week.
Oh, interesting. I think maybe I didn't understand why you had it last week. But was that scene on your show last week?
Yeah, I didn't forget to mention it. It just didn't come up. But yeah, it was in last week's episode, not this week's episode.
Oh, funny. We're watching different shows this week. That's fine.
Completely. But yeah, no, it's like he's trying to do her a favor. Like, and I don't get that at all. It's like, it's not. She had a choice to back out already. I don't know. But I like that about Beverly, because the insinuation is this is a big career move for her. Like, chief medical officer on the flagship is a big thing. And she's like, yeah, fuck my relationship with Picard. I don't care. This is for me and my career. So I always kind of love that. And Picard's like, accidentally or not, a little bit patronizing about it.
Oh,
100%. You can leave.
Right. It's
like,
just
fuck
this
you, I'm staying.
Yeah, it was really confusing. Like I don't know.
I think part of it might have been for him. He was hoping she would accept a transfer off the ship so that he wasn't uncomfortable. But yeah, it's interesting. What else did I have? Oh, this is a little like bullshit thing that only happens because it's in a TV show. Wesley turns up on the bridge and Picard is like, get off my bridge. There's no children allowed. And Beverly is hiding. Like, she is pressed up against the side of the turbo lift as much as possible so that she can pop out and go, hi, it's not just Wesley, it's me too. I was like, you dick. There was no reason to do that other than you're on a TV show.
It was pretty funny.
Just hide behind the door. Hi.
It was a really stupid move. Surprise, very unprofessional. Yeah, at the very
super
least, she could have been
unprofessional.
standing behind him and said, "Thank you for traveling with me," and then just like left. But it
Yeah,
did turn into an interesting scene, where
yeah.
Picard is clearly showing some emotion, which was nice to see. Because most of the emotion I think we've seen from his character so far is a very, staunch and professional captain. But here
Yeah.
he's kind of reaching back into his memory, searching through things that have happened, missing someone that he used to work with, thinking about how that person's death could impact this family, and then attempting to make some kind of a bridge between this person that doesn't like children to wanting to become something more. And I really liked that. I really liked that a lot. But yeah.
Part of me wishes we were moving on to watch episode 2, because what they choose to have as episode 2 is fascinating. You would be stunned by the big swing that they take with episode 2.
I mean, we can't keep watching every episode
I know,
of Star
I
Trek.
want to though. I want to. I mean, there's a couple I'd skip, but it's wild what, and we will come back to it and we'll refer back to it at some point. It's probably one of the next on the list of TNG that we would watch. I technically episode 3 if you're counting this as 1 and 2, but the next episode that they go with is fucking bonkers. My next big sin was, boy, isn't it convenient that these aliens have transporter beams and photon torpedoes? Like, what
super
kind of, which
because
is why
they
I
can
have to
create
believe,
anything.
Well, this is why I have to believe that they were engineered to be spaceships and they've broken free. Otherwise, it's like, man, we had to manufacture some of this mystery to make everyone think this was a spaceship. It's actually a being.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What else did you have?
I think I'm going to take another dig at just old tropes, like old 80s tropes. I talked last week about them kind of getting at like women's roles and stuff, which bothers me. But here they take another one they dig at the idea of somebody who doesn't have a family being lonely. And this was aimed at Picard.
Yeah, the traveler syndrome.
In the scene between Beverly and her son, and when Wesley is essentially like, isn't Picard kind of a pain in the ass? And and she's like, and he's like, are you afraid of the captain too? And she says, no, I'm not afraid of the captain. He, like you said, has the traveler syndrome or something. And then he doesn't, there's no chance for them to have a family. So they're often very lonely.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's such bullshit. That is such bullshit. Some people like being single. Some people enjoy traveling and they have wonderful times with their friends. And yeah, they're not married. Yeah, they don't have children, but that doesn't make them less. That doesn't mean that there's someone to like feel bad for. It's just a choice. And if it's not a choice, they've often had their own come to terms with it. I've talked to so many people over the years who are single and they get pegged as there's something wrong with them. And for the years that I was single, man, it was every single question that people had was, insane. So who are you dating or who are you with? And it's such a weird thing. It's not just women only that are asked this question. It's guys too. Yeah. Because as a society, we're often just assuming that being with someone means that you're happier. And so you want your person to be happy. You want your friend to be happy. So you're asking questions to get to the point of like, are you happy? Are you cared for? Are you, enjoying life? Well, just ask that question. Don't ask all the things that you think have to happen in order for that person to be happy. And making those leaps, I think happens in writing craft sometimes, especially the tropes. And this is one I feel that kind of gets pegged on, not just for women, but also for men. And so I thought it was interesting that this one was about Captain Picard specifically. Maybe I'm a little defensive about him because I like his character so much. Yeah. Maybe there is regret at some point for not doing life with someone so intentionally that you have a witness all the way to the end. Maybe there is something there, but you can even have friends close to you that witness your life with you, and that can be completely fine, and maybe or maybe not. I don't know. It just it begins to continue to, it doesn't begin to, it continues to pigeonhole this idea of what happiness looks like, and it bothered me. So I would say
Me too. And it can also, the other aspect of that annoys me is that it can, like, both things can be true. It's almost like this, the person that enjoys having a solo life and is confident on their own, when they find someone, everyone around them is like, you see, you really wanted somebody all along. You did want a partner. Both things can be true. Like, you can be happy on your own and then stumble into somebody that you then want to share that with. Like, we're complex people, though. There shouldn't be this single, there doesn't have to be this single goal that you're trying to get towards. And that's kind of how I saw Picard, is that he didn't seek it out, but he wasn't opposed to it happening. It wasn't his goal. It wasn't the thing that he pursued.
And why do we assume that we know what is best for anyone? And there's something to be said about the 80s version of what a healthy relationship looked like. There's something to be said about what healthy relationships look like in the 50s. Like, there is an interesting, and I don't mind looking at it. I don't mind looking at the past of how we viewed relationships. But here, where we live now in this reality, we don't need to reach to each other so that we can all survive on a farm. You know, we're looking for people that we really enjoy being around and that we want to do life together with. And we have so much more of an ability to find our community and be alone physically. And we also are realizing that everyone does things differently. Like, before, we were so encapsulated in our family units. We were just in these little bubbles, you know, where we didn't have the internet. We didn't have a way to reach across the entire world and find that someone is living their life incredibly happy, 100% different than you, and both are okay. And so it's just this really beautiful evolution of conversation about what, quote unquote, normal is and what happiness is, and that it is defined individually. And the problem is when people make an assumption. So anytime I see that or hear it in what I'm watching, I'm just like, how interesting that it's always there. There's always some comment about someone else's state of mind. And I feel like I'm meant to take on the assumption that the person, again, is asking those questions or saying those things because they care about the other person. And so they want their version of happiness on them. And I'm happy to do the work by having these conversations in this podcast format or wherever to kind of go, yeah, like, I can assume the best about the person that's saying their version of my happiness, but that's not for me. And so, like, back off of Picard. He's super okay.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's especially, I always see it with the lens of, we're in 2364 right now. Like, there's hopefully 300 years of cultural development, or 400 years of cultural development and exploration, that it's fine to be Mariner as well. It's fine to just be on your own, I don't like the phrase be on your own, just experience life differently. But it's so romantic to do the Moby Dick thing of the lonely explorer with a single goal. And it's just a trope that they couldn't avoid in the 80s, apparently.
I do like that we said it last week and this week, that looking at the material that the writers are doing within Star Trek universe has me really ecstatic, because I feel like they're just continuing to boldly go where writers don't go, and showing us characters, specifically like female-led characters, like I mentioned last week. There's going to be tropes. There's going to be things that we always fall back on, because storytelling is really powerful, and there's reasons that it inspires us. But if it inspires us to be thinking, gosh, you know, I am single, I guess that means I'm a lonely traveler too. Like, that's not cool.
It's tricky. It's really tricky.
I'd fucking sin it.
Sin the heck out of it. And I don't know that there's a lot of shows that are doing it now. There's not a lot of movies that are doing it now, because we all have to bloody have a romance subplot in every fucking film. Something I've rallied against.
Even the jellyfish need love.
Movie commenting short career has been, God damn it, we didn't need the romantic subplot in this movie. But yes, we will culturally sin the heck out of it.
The heck.
I'm really, really superficial, because I love going to a superficial sin after something deep and meaningful. How did Riker know that was a transporter beam and not just a vaporizing beam? Because Groplazorn is in agony, And Riker's just like, well, I guess he got beamed up. No, he got vaporized.
I thought he was
died in
vaporized.
agony. So did I. But
I mean, I was like, oh, he did.
Knowledge is convenient. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
he did.
He did.
I mean, it kind of looked a little bit like phasing out, but it was super different at the same time because it could have been like a slow dissolving sort of thing.
Oh, and we've seen that. We've seen phasers slow dissolve people. I only have one more. Any more that you have?
I think we could do. I'll just do another simple one because we've already kind of talked about it. But we could do so many like kids ding on this one. So just so many.
Yep, kids ding everywhere.
Yep. Just a simple one, super simple.
Wesley is in the way in sick bay when his mum is at work. On the bridge,
him pushing the button. Yeah.
It's like stop running. Mine was just one last dig at Q, and it's tricky because it's his inconsistencies, but he has a go at Picard and everybody for not solving the mystery. And it's like, the mystery is as plain as the nose on your primate faces. It's so obvious. You should have figured it out by now. What are you testing here? Are you testing that they're savages? Are you testing that they can solve a Sudoku puzzle?
It's so to me, it was confusing. I also was confused. Yeah.
It confuses me as well. And the problem is
also he's wearing a face that has a primate nose. He's doing the same thing.
He's not turning up as his own individual, as his own species.
I want to see Q. What does Q look like?
No, wait, save it because we're going to do this in the outtakes because I have something I want to talk about in the outtakes.
Okay.
Regarding Q's original form.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my last sin on Q, and the answer would just be Q is Q, which is annoying, but yeah. Yeah, there we go.
There was a line that Data said that I think we could just totally riff on because he says, "Sorry, sir, I seem to be commenting on everything." I was like, "That's
yep, yes, you do. That's us." Oh, that's amazing.
There's something to do there. I don't know what it is, but it's either making fun of ourselves or like we can relate to that. Ding, just something. I don't know.
Data has exposed us at set TV sins.
Oh my god. But yeah,
who would do that? Who would comment on every single thing that they see? Would totally not us.
I think we could also easily sin that Picard's like, would you be opposed to a potentially illegal kidnapping? And it's like, okay.
Let's go.
There's probably something there too, but I really don't have anything else. So
love it. Well, next week, all being well, we're going to be diving into Picard season 3, episode 1, and we're so excited. I am so excited. I cannot wait for this. Yes, let's see the crew back together in some form. Okay, well, thank you for joining us on this in between seasons episodes of Captain's Pod. The next 10 weeks are going to be watching season 3 of Picard. So, yeah, you have 1 week to catch up on everything that you need to catch up on. But until then, man, that's great. I had my line all ready to go. Until then, thank you for listening, everyone. I'm off to admire some tacky. No, hang on a minute. That's from weeks ago. Where is it? Oh, no.
Captain's not prepared.
Oh, it's because I fucked up my notes. Okay, let's try that again.
Fucked up his notes. Okay.
I did. Thanks for listening, everyone. And I leave now, but only because it suits me, and I don't promise to never return.
And it's I shall endeavor to function adequately.
Oh, that was going to be mine as well, and I changed it at the last second. Yes. Amazing. Live long and prosper. Amazing.
We did it!
We did the show!
Another episode in the books.
And congrats to everybody who I think there's 2 people who this is their first time of watching the show live. So that's really, really cool.
Thank you guys so much. I usually have my actual Twitch chat up, but I think it was slowing down my stream for some reason a couple weeks ago. So I don't have it up and I don't get to see if anyone's subbing or anything. So if there's anything that's been coming in, Ian, make sure we say thanks to that if you have it up on your side.
I don't. So thanks anybody that subbed. Appreciate it. Love you guys. And the follows and whatnot.
All right. I'll look it up.
Okay.
We shoot the dough. Wait, wrong episode.
Wait,
That's funny.
wait. Nope, not wrong. Not wrong.
Oh man, we have so many
Amazing.
fun things to get through. I'm gonna put on
We do.
some lo-fi beats here.
The first one that I want to get to, I'm going to try and share a screen. Ambassador. Actually,
What?
I'll get into some questions first. I need to pull up another image. Wait.
Okay. Well, I'll ask you a question while you pull that up. Ian, how do you have so many friends that are there at the premiere but don't love you enough to make you a +1?
Right. I think that's a great question to ask them.
Oh shit, Jagged. I mean,
think
just going for the fucking jugular.
Right,
Jesus.
for the jugular. I did have the same question of a certain friend, but the answer was that their +1 traded their +1-ness in exchange for like helping them out with airfare because it's expensive to get to LA from England. So that was a fair trade. And in all honesty, it would have been very difficult for me to get to LA on short notice. But yeah, don't worry, it will be remembered. It will be remembered. It hurt me deep.
Here's one from Jagged. I don't remember this. Couldn't help but notice that the "Where is Marina Siritis from" conversation was left out of the outtakes. Was that from last week?
Yeah, this is when I said that she's from Liverpool, but she's actually from Hackney. Cut, edited, cut the fuck out. Yeah, I was like, because I mentioned it in the episode and I cut it out. I take a breath, mention that she's from Liverpool, and then carry on talking about what I'm talking about. Seamless. Just cut it out.
Oh my God.
It's not even an outtakes thing. That was in the show, and I remember.
Bravo.
It. Yeah.
Editor's privilege, Jagged. Editor's privilege.
It is my right to make myself sound as smart as I can.
Oh my God.
So, you remember when we went into season 2 of Picard and we thought it was very, very interesting and we didn't know why Q was wearing this badge. Do you remember it?
Oh yeah, like
and
it looks kind of like a flower with some interesting like baubles above it, but it's very black and very funeral-esque for reasons.
And because his outfit was so sparse, we're like, that badge has got to mean something. It has to represent something, and we didn't figure it out the entire season.
No.
It took me a long time to figure out, and it just hit me. This is what Q looks like in his sorry. Wait. There we go.
I don't know what to do right now.
Wait. This is what Q looks like in his natural form.
Snaky?
It's kind of.
Oh, those are snakes. Those are cobras. He's a fucking cobra?
Yeah.
He's a 3-headed cobra on a marble. He's a marble. That's the marble. There was no marbles in this, but there it is, guys. Look. Q was there all along. Clearly a marble. Holy shit, I was right.
And it kind of looks like the little badge.
He's a 3-headed snake?
It's an interpretation of what the Q looked like.
That's a fucking cobra. You can't tell me that that's not a fucking cobra.
Of course it is, but it's just like it's how he presents himself in what he calls his natural form.
Wait a second. So it's still not his natural form? It's how he presents himself, but that's not his natural form?
I think it's the only way that we can perceive the Q. I think it's what he was getting at. But
is a 3-headed fucking cobra?
The interesting thing is that
these are godlike creatures. That's a fucking 3-headed snake.
It looks like his badge, though. It has like the little orb with the stars on it, and then the 3 heads, the 3 things that are poking up on the badge.
So you think that and the flower guy are like?
Of course, you've got the orb, and then 3 things there, and then if we go back,
but his pendant wasn't like an orb; it was like a flower.
Yeah, but it looks so. It's like it represents the same sort of thing, like the energy ball in the middle, and then 3 heads at the top. Like that has to be what it's representing, isn't it?
Man, it is so ingrained in me that snakes are evil. It's such a Christian, like, just indoctrined. Like I have been fed this information
The
since
temptation of the snake.
that snakes are so bad. So here I am. I'm like, whoa, what an evil
Penises
being. And
are
then I'm not
bad.
just checking myself because that's not. But that was, I mean, if I saw a 3-headed snake attached to a marble, I wouldn't be like, wow, this is cool. I'd be like, holy shit, run.
It's probably not accidental either. It's probably a deliberate biblical thing as well.
Oh my God. My tummy hurts. Can we move on? Link
Let's do it.
asks, do we ever see the jellyfish again?
I think it appears in Lower Decks at some point. It's definitely mentioned. We don't see it on screen. It is mentioned in the first of the Star Trek Titan books. The Titan gets thrown into a different galaxy and bumps into a whole tribe of the space jellies. But to my knowledge, they're not. They don't appear in the show again.
Were the space jellies in season 3 premiere of Lower Decks?
That sounds right. I think they were at least mentioned, I think.
That's amazing. I like this message from Kachar. Danae, I'm with you. I hate the Q character the most annoying character, only topped by Wesley Crusher. I don't mind Wesley. I think he's just maybe having a hard time acting. Like, I think they wanted him to overact, and so he is, but I don't think I mind Wesley Crusher just yet. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I was once an annoying child. I know, shocker.
Yeah. No, I've always liked Wesley. I don't get the hatred for Wesley.
But Q is really annoying me. I don't like Q's giving me. He's giving me like, I don't like it. I don't like Q. Slab says Wesley was 5 when his dad died. At 15 at Encounter at Farpoint Source Memory Alpha.
Yeah, so 10 years. We were about right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Here's a thought, says Sarah Superior. I wonder what would have happened to Deanna if she had met Horta from the Devil in the Dar, because we all saw what it did to Spock. I have no idea what any of this means. Do you?
Yeah,
I'm sure you do.
Remember rightly, it floods Spock with emotions. I think he tries to mind meld with this rock thing, and it floods him with emotions and makes him a bit doolally. So I think because it's a silicon-based life form, and I guess Data is mostly silicon, it would make Data experience emotions and stuff. So yeah, that's an interesting episode of TOS. I think that's the episode where Kirk is handling this massive dildo. Let me get a picture of that.
Was that made into a pendant as well?
I mean, it may as well be. Yes, I have just Googled Kirk handling dildo, and it came up immediately. So let's save that image and save. And we're going to bring it up right.
I mean, we are we're sure that we're 18 plus.
No.
I mean, what are you about? Because we got to be careful. We have terms of service. We have standards.
No, we don't. And here we go. Can I zoom in anymore? There we go. Perfect. Look at him. Look at him holding the big rock dildo. Look at that. Look at that. Just look at it. Look at it.
It's literally a rock hard dildo.
It's a rock dildo. He just carries that shit around. Look at that.
Did no one stop this from happening?
Somebody knew it was happening.
This is going to be clipped.
Someone knew exactly what was happening here. Just Kirk holding a big old ball and rod. Alfie, shift, go.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Should I stop sharing now? Oh, you have.
Wow. We'll just shift over here to Jagged's comment. Oh my God, I love the lady who was so condescending to Riker about how the ship worked. She was so funny, and then she totally checked him out. You're right. It was great.
Amazing. The eyeballs, just so horny. Everyone on the Enterprise is horny.
And thank you again, Slab, for all you do. Love having you around for every show, and for posting stuff like this in the comments. I popped it up on screen, but just in case Ian wants to add this vocally into the outtakes. Yes, the place to recommend future episodes is on Discord. That's probably the very best place because Ian is there regularly. And you can join our Discord by going to discord.gg/cinemasins. And there is a little subsection chat room in there about this show specifically. So if you're not already on Discord, it's a really fun and very active community of hyper fans that we're very lucky to have. So that's the perfect place to stay. So thanks, Slab.
Nice. Thank you, Slab. You are the best for all the shit I give you. You are the best. Right, give us another question, Danae.
Here's a sin from the tat cat, Carlos. Yum. Look at that cat. Sorry. Sin. Shouldn't all of that moisture covering Wesley have dematerialized when he stepped out of the holodeck? We covered this in the show.
I didn't
agree.
steal this one. This was.
I didn't either.
Independently came up with that. It's always bugged me. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
We agree. Jacket says Pop Goes the Weasel should have been the song before was humming at the end rather than the song from the beginning of the movie.
So, long story short, there's another android in Nemesis called B4, and this is like a prototype version of Data and Law. I completely agree. It would have broken my heart if B4 started humming Pop Goes the Weasel instead of that he hums a song that Data was singing at the start of the movie instead. But it may have been too obscure. Like you would have had to recently watch Encounter at Farpoint to understand why he was humming it, and also that film was written by somebody who probably hadn't watched Encounter at Farpoint.
There you go. Jagged agrees with you, Ian. Wesley was their favorite character as a kid. Favorite episode was The Game. Yeah, so The Game is the one where they have the little device that's attached to their head, and it has you playing a game, and then whenever you advance a level, it gives you some sort of maybe an endorphin boost or something like that, and then slowly it's sort of taking everybody over on the ship, and Wesley and his friend are the only ones that figure out that there's something nefarious, and so they kind of fake it, and then they end up saving the day. How about that for remembering an episode? Danae, please do not ask for the episode internet activates troll mode. Oh, no. Fuck. I mean, but how many... Okay. In the world of creating content, not very many people actually interact. You know what I mean? A lot of people just want to watch something or listen to it as their form of entertainment. They don't really want to engage. They just want to listen and move on. You know what I mean? So maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I didn't just kick a pile of shit over and it's just going to stink. Yeah, look at me go, Sarah Superior. The 60s were a different time. You know what? You're not wrong. Oh my God. I don't even know. I just popped over to the main chat and now I'm seeing things like the episode with the leftover lasagna crawling around. Had to look it up. I don't even know what you guys are talking about, but.
Hello.
Anyway.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I love Wesley.
Great. Yes. Totally still talking about Wesley. Absolutely.
Yes, I thought you might be.
You want to go into the start comments? We're about to wrap up the show, and I'm going to find somebody for us to raid it into here in just a minute. If you guys have a suggestion, you're welcome to throw it up in the chat.
So I think this is referring to Picard, didn't he? No, this is Riker. So if he'd shown up to the date with Deanna, then he would have left Starfleet forever. True, and if that's the writing thing, it's bullshit as well. It's I can't possibly love and have a career at the same time, and blah, romance, blah. Bullshit. That's how I feel about that. And I within what's well, you see, you've got to unstar the starred comments today, or else I end up reading the same thing again.
No. Oh no. Poor you.
Sarah Superior says we need to see the naked now, and yes, that is the next episode of TNG, and I would love to watch that with the ambassador. It's a bonkers one. I think JCD had a trivia thing, which was, I can't find the question, but it was who has appeared the most in Star Trek across all of the years, and I think the answer is actually Michael Dorn now. I think his voice and as an actor, he has appeared more than anybody else. And am I? Voice and screen time. Because my next guest would be Majel Barrett, the voice of the computer, like Son of Troy, Nurse Chapel, all the same person. I don't think it's Jeffrey Combs because he has appeared a lot, but I don't think it's more than Michael Dorn. So yes, what's the answer, Nick? JCD.
Yeah.
What's the answer?
JCD.
Let us know.
The heck? Me, my puppy's
Dorn,
visiting.
I don't think Michael Dorn has been in anything since DS9. No, but yeah, I'm pretty. Oh, so Majel Barrett is the answer. I think it is Majel Barrett.
Oh, sleepy
I think
puppy.
After Picard, he may overtake her. I'm not too sure because it depends if you're. Yeah. Anyway, more research to be done on that one. I think you're right. I think it is Majel Barrett. What else have we got? I think that was about it.
Awesome.
Question
about the stream itself. Ooh. If the captain leaves the bridge and the ambassador takes over command, does that mean ambassador should now be called commander ambassador in line with Trek culture?
Oh, yeah. I guess if you're in command, commander ambassador, combassador? Ambassador?
Can I just go with badassador?
Yeah, badassador. Yeah, I think that logic. I think you just get called commander now, or technically captain.
Yeah.
If I'm off the ship entirely and you're in command, then you're captain. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Sorry.
Amazing.
I had to contain my excitement. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah,
it looks like Dicer is actually streaming. Thank you for pointing that out in the. Apparently, he's doing Sif Pop right now. So we are going to raid into Aaron, who is one of the writers at Cinema Sins. He has been doing a podcast called Sift Pop, where he reviews movies. So he is currently talking movies with a couple of his friends. Looks like there's 3 people he's chatting with. So if it's a movie you haven't seen yet, they do a spoiler-free conversations about the movies. So this is going to be kind of more movie review style. There are other people streaming, but at least stop in, say hi, give Aaron Dicer a follow. And what's happening in the world of CinemaSins Twitch for the rest of the week, for this next week, Ian? Well, I know we're going to be back next Friday for the first episode of season 3 of Picard, but what's happening next week?
So Monday we have got at 7:30 p.m. Central. Chris is going to be carrying on playing through The Last of Us. We're actually getting towards the back end of the game now. So yeah, I think he'll either complete it this week or next week. But last week was so much fun. There was a lot of sniping and there's a lot of sinning the in-universe movie posters and books. Tuesday we have Recotopia, which is Jeremy, the narrator, and Chris Atkinson, the co-creator of CinemaSins. They both do a movie review show. So if you head over to either the Discord or Twitter, I think they tell you what movies they're going to be reviewing this week. And then, we'll be back on Friday to do the season premiere of Captain Picard, of Star Trek Picard, which is going to be so fun. We're going to watch it.
There's content happening everywhere. You can go into our calendar to see what our schedule is. I also stream over at my channel here on Twitch, which is Danae Says, DENEESAYS. Please give me a follow there. Sometimes I go live on Fridays for some of my role play gaming where I play a crazy character named Babs. Depending on how I feel today, I may or may not be able to play. It just depends on how much energy I have to give to a character tonight. But yeah, we're really excited to see you guys next week for this show once more right here on Twitch or on YouTube, wherever you're watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. But for those of you guys that are on Twitch, we're going to go over and say hi to Aaron now. So enjoy the rest of your day and we'll start. Here we go.